in my ongoing quest to get a live, in-person, face-to-face, around the same tabletop game going on, I continue to struggle, but hopefully that struggle is worth it. Not too long ago, I arranged for a get-together with some folks at a local bar, and at least one person showed up. Boy. So I'm going to see if I can move that from one person to 3 people, because if I can get 3 players, I'll feel more comfortable running some games. So why am I talking about that today? Well, I'm thinking more and more that for the sake of ease, I may run Shadowtark. It's for the D&D 5e people, it's similar enough. I think that they will recognize a lot of the rules and the general idea. For me, as someone who doesn't care for D&D but likes Dungeon Crawl Classics, it has a lot of what I like about Dungeon Crawl Classics, but is stripped way down to its basics. So, thinking I may run that. Now, if I run that, my first scenario that I will run will almost certainly be Portal Under the Stars. My main accent's really coming out today. Portal Under the Stars. It's in the Dungeon Crawl Classics basic book, but it's also in some of the free RPG Day books that they had put out in the past. After that, I don't know where I will go. I am thinking about converting Dragons of Stormwreck Isle, heavily converting it, and running that, but I don't know. Last year, I think it was last year, I did a video talking about brochure maps for, originally the idea was sparked by some Disneyland or Disney World maps. But I've since sort of expanded that out, and I've looked at some museum maps and various things like that. And this past week, in fact, I just got back yesterday, time of recording, several weeks ago, time of viewing, I went to the town of Green, which is not how I would pronounce that, but it's not my decision. Green in Texas. This is a little west of, actually it's quite a bit west of Houston. It's just outside of San Antonio. It's a ways outside of San Antonio. Anyway, it's a little historic town, and it's quaint. It was cute. It's got a very, I'm from Maine originally, and we have their Bar Harbor, which is our tourist town. Very high amounts of tourist-focused stuff. It is a New England town, Disneyfied. A lot of shops, a lot of stuff like that, and it's very seasonal. Green gave me that vibe, a very similar vibe, although without the obvious Atlantic lobster shipping, fishing village kind of stuff. It has more of a, Texas kind of thing. Anyway, but look at this map of Green. It's fantastic. It's this village map, and I love it. And it's keyed already, so some of these maybe will just fit right over into a game, but obviously you can go in and make your own key. There's shops, there's restaurants, there's all kinds of different things, some specialty shops, all sorts of things. Now, what you convert those to make it into a viable town, either for, say, a Western, that would fit perfectly, but since a lot of fantasy games, a lot of D&D-esque games, really there are Westerns in a lot of sense. The setting echoes Westerns more than it echoes medieval Europe in culture, in the way towns are, all these sort of frontier towns that have very much the feeling of the old rail towns, or the frontier towns, gold mining villages and all these sort of things. That's what a lot of these D&D towns feel like, with the inn and the shop and all these things that are staples of these towns. So I think a map like this would be perfect. So I figured while I talked about that, I'd mention a couple others that I picked up not too long ago. I don't remember even where I found this. I think it was in Philadelphia. I found this one for Elk Mountain. And I don't know how useful it will be, but I thought this one was kind of neat. Now, it's not super complex, but I could see using this as a map for like a dungeon or something like that. The ski slopes just becoming tunnels, and obviously they all focal point back on here, but there's a little bit of crossover, or maybe add in a little bit of extra stuff, and it's keyed again, so you could key in encounters or what have you. A sense of scale could be almost anything. You could make this maybe these are rivers, or these are tunnels, or who knows what. Anyway, I thought it could be interesting. I think there's another. Yeah, this map is not as useful, but you never know. Anyway, saw that. Thought it might be worth a look, if nothing else. We have this also while I was in Philly, Museum of the American Revolution. And you look at this map, I mean, this could just be your kind of classic mansion manor kind of thing. First floor, second floor. You've got the spiral staircase in the center, and all these rooms that could be all sorts of different things. Maybe goblins are all living up in here. Who knows what the story might be for that. But, handy little map. It's got things you might not always think about, like bathrooms. What are the elevators really? I don't know. So could be useful. I don't know about this one. I like the look of it, but it doesn't really give interiors, and that might end up being less useful. I don't know. This was from the Yacht and Beach Club at Disney World, but again, it could also be a variation on a small town. I mean, who's to say that a town doesn't build multi-family units like this? Maybe. I don't know. And thinking about Disney World, while I was there again. So we went to Hollywood Studios, and I've talked about that one before, and about using the map as a dungeon location or town or what have you. But we also went specifically for Jollywood Nights, which is, like they do everything all dolled up for the holidays. And here's the map, which is the same place, but with a very different look and keyed differently. And it got me thinking that you could do something like, maybe this is, say you were doing something with the Fae, and this might be the daytime, and this might be the nighttime. And at a certain point, it switches, and the map becomes something else, and takes on a different character. Anyway, I don't know. Thought that could be an interesting idea. And if I can actually get real human beings to sit down across the table from me and play in a game that goes on for more than a single session, or possibly two, which I have not been able to do in a long time. If I can get that to happen, and I'm running this, I would like to do what I said I would do, which is try to actually make one of these into a little module adventure, dungeon crawl, what have you. So we'll see. I don't have any specific plans for that right now, but we'll see. As I'm recording this, it's June 4th, and I, at the beginning of this year, really thought by this point I would already have stuff going. And I had said, I want to get Pendragon to the table. I want to get Alien to the table, and I want to get what was the other one? Dragonbane to the table this year. Those were like kind of my goals. And now, honestly, it's June. I'm not really much closer. I have one person who has now expressed interest and showed up to something. So one person. I guess I'm a little closer to, maybe I'll run Shadow Dark, and I really think about Shadow Dark a lot because it just seems a lot easier to run than other stuff. And right now, the idea, I have a difficult enough time being social and putting myself out there and inviting people to things. And the stress of getting a session together, the idea of putting on top of that a game that is also challenging to run right now is just not up my alley. It's like, I would love to get a game of Ars Magica going. I would love that. Oh my goodness. But the idea of trying to arrange that, of trying to get a group of people together to play that game and to learn it and all of that, it's absolutely outside of my abilities right now. So anyway, that's it for me for now. Let's see, time recording early June. I actually do have an order of drive-through from Drive-Through RPG coming in at some point. It hasn't shipped yet, so I guess that'll be a little series of videos. So until the next time, take care.